On the Money Show, we are fast approaching that deadly 31st August deadline, and that is when you have to file your income tax returns. Now, of course, for our viewers, one key source of income is going to be obviously what they earn when they invest in the equity markets, in mutual funds, in F&O contracts, in, of course, direct equity shares as well. So how exactly is it that you should be reporting such income in your income tax return? What is applicable for you and what's not? For example, are you eligible to do an audit? Also, what's LTCG, STCG? Which one do you have to pay tax on? All these questions and queries will be answered in today's show. And of course, if you have any questions or queries as well, the numbers appearing on the top of your screens, you can call in 24990388. We will kickstart Ask the Money Show very soon. But to take us through the entire process of filing your income tax returns, today I have with me on the show Mr. Prakash Kotadia. He is the partner with BDO, and he is joining us right now on the Money Show. Mr. Kotadia, thank you for joining us on the Money Show and on ETNow. F&O income, capital gain income, this is something that is a bit complex when you have to not only calculate it but also reporting it in the income tax return. So if you have to start off with a ready reckoner of what documentation should our viewers have ready when they are reporting that F&O income in their income tax return?
Yeah, see, F&O income and capital gain are two different things.
Yeah.
F&O incomes are generally taxed as a business income,
Okay.
while any gain on sale of capital asset is taxed as a capital gain.
Okay.
And there also we have a capital gain bifurcated into long-term capital gain and short-term capital gain.
True.
So first, when we talk about F&O income, in case of F&O income which is on the floor of stock exchange, then it will be considered as a non-speculative business income.
Okay.
But if it is not on the floor of stock exchange, then it will be considered as a speculative income.
Okay.
So when business income is there, then you have to report under the head business for a taxability purpose and not under capital gain.
Okay, all right. Also, there is cases when some of our viewers may have to conduct an audit of their business, or in this case, as it is F&O income.
Correct.
Now, the questions that we very often get is how do you calculate the turnover? Because when your turnover is above a certain amount is when you have to get an audit done. So, in the first place, how do you calculate that turnover if you are in F&O?
Yeah. For calculating turnover for F&O, you have to see the difference between your buy and sale.
Okay.
So whether it is a positive figure or a negative figure, you have to take the total of the same. I will give you a simple example. Suppose you have on F&O income, there is a income of say 50 lakh rupees,
Okay.
and loss of say 51 lakh rupees.
Okay.
So your not net figure is actually only 1 lakh rupees.
Correct.
But since total is exceeding 50 plus 51 lakh is 1 crore
1
1
crore,
lakh,
yeah.
and if the moment your turnover crosses 1 crore, you are required to get the tax audit done.
Okay, so you have to add the loss as opposed to subtracting the loss and calculating the
For
net
turnover,
figure.
for the purpose of
Okay.
turnover.
Understood. Also, a very important factor, you mentioned speculative and non-speculative.
Yeah.
In F&O case, it is of course a non-speculative.
No, mostly non-speculative,
Mostly
because you do on the floor of stock exchange.
Okay, so what exactly is categorized then under speculative? If you could give us some examples.
Speculative is something which is not on the floor of stock exchange, but
Okay.
trade outside the stock exchange, which is not where the STT etc. is not paid.
Okay.
So then it is considered as a speculative.
Because again, the losses that you can carry forward from the two businesses as well differ, right? If you could take us through that.
Yeah. So if you have a losses from a non-speculative, then it is considered as a normal business loss, which can be set off against any other income during the year. So if you have an income under the head house property, other sources,
Yeah.
other than salary, wherever income is there, then
Other than
that
salary, yeah.
then loss can be set off.
Okay.
And if in the particular year you are not able to set off the loss, then you can carry over that loss for the subsequent year, and it can be carried forward up to 8 years to set off against any income in the future years. While for a speculative loss can be set off only against speculative income, and
Okay.
if it is not absorbed during the year, then unabsorbed loss can be carried forward and set off against speculative income for next 4 years.
Okay, all right. We will take forward that conversation, but at this point, I want to, of course, invite all our viewers out there to send their questions and queries. And I think we've already got our first caller, Jitendra Kumar from Delhi, has called in. Hi, Jitendra. Good evening. What's your query?
क्वेरी है, मुझे इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड म्यूचुअल फंड से 1 लाख से कम कैपिटल गेन हुआ है।
Okay.
तो इस तो इसको हम ITR 2 के किस कॉलम में रिपोर्ट करेंगे? साथ ही जो कैपिटल गेन हुआ है उसको क्या एग्रीगेट रिपोर्ट करना होगा या ब्रेकअप द्वारा रिपोर्ट करना होगा?
अच्छा, आपने इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट किया है, करेक्ट?
जी जी जी
जितेंद्र जी?
जी जी बोल रहे हैं।
जी, आपने इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट किया है, करेक्ट?
यस यस करेक्ट जी, इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड में
जी,
किया है।
एंड आपने 1 साल से ज्यादा उसको अपने पास रखा है?
हाँ हाँ, 1 साल से ज्यादा रखा है जी।
वो म्यूचुअल फंड को आपने 1 साल के बाद ही उसको बेचा है?
जी जी जी
Okay, all right. अभी आपको जाना है how he must go about it. So we are assuming that this is not his main business. He's just basically invested in equity mutual fund in the long term. He wants to know how should he report it, and also does he have to give a breakup that okay, this is the name of the mutual fund that. And if you could, of course, for the benefit of Jitendra ji, respond in Hindi, please.
Yeah, so this income will be taxed under capital gain and not F&O because here
Okay.
he has made investment into
Sir,
the mutual
if you
fund.
could help him out in Hindi, please, in Hindi.
ओके मिस्टर जितेंद्र, आपने ये जो म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है, ये इनकम आपकी कैपिटल गेन में टैक्स होगी और नहीं कि बिजनेस में, क्योंकि ये फ्यूचर एंड ऑप्शन ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं है। अब कैपिटल गेन के लिए आपको देखना है कि आपने ये यूनिट कितना टाइम के लिए होल्ड किया है। व्हाट वी अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम आपकी क्वेरी से कि आप 1 साल से ज्यादा रखा हुआ है आपने, तो 1 साल से ज्यादा रखा है तो ये लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन होएगा। और लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन होएगा तो उसके ऊपर आपको लोअर रेट का 10% ही टैक्स लगने वाला है। और ये भी टैक्स 1 अप्रैल 18 के बाद ही इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है। 1 अप्रैल के पहले होता था तो वो टैक्स फ्री हुआ करता
जी,
था।
जी, yeah. In fact, I think it's only up to 1 lakh rupees as well,
Up to 1 lakh you get a exemption. So whatever your taxable income is there from a capital gain, up to 1 lakh you are not required to pay the tax.
taxes.
And above 1 lakh rupees 10% टैक्स भरना है आपको।
So जितेंद्र जी, अगर आपने बेचने के बाद आपने 1 लाख रुपए से कम का मुनाफा किया है तो आपको टैक्स भरने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन आपको रिपोर्ट फिर भी करना पड़ेगा, राइट? एंड व्हिच इज द रिटर्न देन ही शुड यूज? कौन सा ITR यूज करेंगे वो?
For capital gain, he can have a ITR 1 if he has a income from salary, house property, and capital gain and only other sources, no business income. He can fall under ITR 1.
ठीक है, तो अगर आपका बिजनेस इनकम नहीं है तो यू कैन यूज ITR 1 बिकॉज उसमें सैलरी भी कवर हो जाता है, उसमें हाउस प्रॉपर्टी एंड ऑफ कोर्स कैपिटल गेन्स एज वेल एंड अदर इनकम। ओके, ऑल राइट जितेंद्र जी, थैंक यू फॉर कॉलिंग इन. Of course, again, let me invite all our viewers out there to send in any questions or queries they may be having on reporting their different sources of income in their income tax return. Okay, next up we have Jamshed who has sent in a question. He says, and that query should just appear for you on your screens in a bit. He says, I am 35 years old. He is an NRI from Dubai and he says that I save 1 lakh rupees per month for my retirement. Now he wants to know that if he's putting his money in equity mutual funds, how will he be taxed when he will be eventually removing this money? This is at the age of retirement, that's 50. He wants to remove this money at the age of 50. So he wants to know what the tax treatment will be. 1 lakh rupees per month is what he will be investing all the way till the age of 50. So a good 14-15 odd years at least he will be investing. So he's obviously going to be making a nice meaty chunk of money. So Mr. Kotadia, how should he go about reporting this income?
So in this case also, since investment is in the units of mutual fund, so it will be considered as a capital gain.
Okay.
And since he will be redeeming after more than 1 year, so it will be considered as a long-term capital gain. So whatever long-term capital gain is there in the year of sale, up to 1 lakh rupees no tax, and above that tax will be 10%.
Okay, let's hope, but before that the government changes
and remove a long-term
removes the long-term capital gain,
correct.
because we at ETNow as well have been, of course, picking up from government sources that after 3 years it's possible. They may say that you do not need to pay taxes, but you need to hold it for at least 3 years.
Presently it is 1 year. Presently it is 1 year for long term.
Presently it's 1 year for long term. Okay, we've got another caller. It is Yash from Faridabad who is joining us on the phone line. Hi Yash, good evening. What's your query?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Yash.
My query, I'm an intraday trader, and intraday trader, what's the limit of this audit for the purpose of audit? Suppose I paid for 2 lakhs, purchase 2 lakhs, sell, and end of the month it is more than 1 crore of rupees, and every day I earn 1,000 rupees. Someday I lost. What is the for the purpose of audit I want to know?
Okay, did you get his question,
I could
Prakash?
not hear.
Okay, I'm sorry. Actually, Yash, your audio was very, very low, so we were struggling a little bit. Could you just repeat your question again, please, and a little louder?
My query is
Yes.
that for intraday traders,
Intraday traders, yeah.
what is the limit? What is the limit of audit?
Oh, okay, okay. Up to what limit of
I have to get
turnover
audit
should you
or
audit
not?
your? Do you need to audit and do you not need to audit? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's his question. He's an intraday trader. So what is the?
So yes, intraday trading, if it is a future and option transaction, so it will be considered as a business income.
Yeah.
And for you to get your account audited, the limit is 1 crore rupees. So
Okay.
1 crore limit, as earlier I discussed, that whatever differential amount is there, whether it is profit or loss,
Yeah.
we have to accumulate it total and see if it is crossing 1 crore in a year.
In a
Then you
year,
are required to get the books of account audited.
Okay, Yash, you were mentioning something about monthly and all. Don't calculate it monthly. It has
It is
to
a
be
yearly.
net at the end of the year. All your transactions, club them up together and see what's the total profit and loss. And remember, don't give a negative figure to the loss when you're calculating the total. For all means and purposes, the loss figure as well will be positive. So let's say if you've made a 10 lakh rupee profit and then a 11 lakh rupee loss, don't consider it as a negative 1 lakh. It's a positive 21 lakh and that is your turnover. If that in total has crossed 1 crore, then you need to get an
the accounts
audit
audited,
done.
yeah.
And that is, of course, intraday trading is a business. It is not capital gain. So it will become under business and profession. This is, of course, what Mr. Prakash is recommending. I hope we've been able to help you out with your query. Okay, next up we have Mr. R.V. Rao who has sent in a question. He says that I sold a house in August 2018 which I owned for more than 10 years, and what he did is something very wise, and that is that he essentially invested the long-term capital gain amount on a new residential house and also cleared the entire amount of the seller including GST in October 2018. He has obviously complied with all the TDS rules and everything, but the registration is still pending. So I think the question is that is it a problem then for him to claim the benefits, that's the capital gains exemption, if registration of the builder is pending, or is that not a requirement?
It's not required because you have invested all your money,
Yeah.
and in any case you have a time to invest up to 2 years from the year in which you have sold the house.
Okay.
So you have sold in the last year, so that is, I believe, year ended March 19.
That's right.
So till March 21, if you make the investment in the house, then you get the deduction. Here in any case you have made investment in the same year itself, so registration is not the criteria. Since your whole amount you have contributed, you will be able to get the deduction.
Okay.
So you will not have any capital gain tax liability.
Okay, and you don't have to buy a house immediately.
You have
the
a time of 2
government
years.
gives you 2 years, so you can go out there, research, see which house you like, and then purchase the property. There's no rush. 2 years, but is when you have to invest all that money. Okay, he has a second question actually. Mr. Rao says, I am planning to gift an amount of 5 lakh rupees to my niece. My boy owns sister's daughter basically. Please clarify whether there would be any gift tax liability on her. 5 lakh rupees, I think it's an amount, so it's not in kind, it's in cash basically. So would there be any tax liability on his niece?
Any gift received from a relative, then it's not liable to tax. But
Okay.
from a non-relative, anything above 50,000 is liable to tax, and relatives have been defined. So niece is a relation which is
Okay.
considered as a relative for the purpose of exemption,
tax.
and that's why it will not be liable to tax in your niece hand.
Okay, your niece. If you will give it to some distant relative, you cannot
Then
say that,
even,
okay,
yeah.
this is my second cousin
Correct,
and my
correct,
so-and-so,
correct.
and say that, okay, it will be exempt. All right. So niece is qualified and she will not have to pay any tax. Okay, lots of callers today then, and we have Mr. J.V. Kapoor joining us live on the phone line. Hi, Mr. Kapoor. Thank you for calling us on the Money Show. What's your query?
Yeah, my query is this: I have invested the amount in the debt mutual fund, and I have withdrawn during the year. There is
You mean in an
short-term
ELSS?
gain.
Is that right?
Hanji?
Is it an ELSS when you say tax?
No, no, not a ELS. It is a debt mutual fund.
Okay, debt
ITR
mutual fund.
Prudential
Okay,
Banking
okay.
and PSU fund.
Okay, debt mutual fund, yes.
It's a debt fund. I invested the money in the
Yes,
2017
and when did you
withdrawn in
buy it and when did you
2019.
redeem it?
Hello? I have withdrawn in 2000. I want to know this short-term gain should be shown under which head under which column of the ITR 2?
Okay, it's a short-term capital gain in a debt MF that essentially he has purchased. He's enjoyed short-term capital gain. He wants to know how exactly, in which return, in which column should this STCG on debt MF be reported to the income tax department?
Yeah, so it will be in a short-term capital gain other than a equity mutual fund. In that it will come, because for equity mutual fund, 1 year is the limit to qualify as a long-term, while for a debt fund, it is a 3 year. So I believe that you are holding it for less than 3 years.
Yeah.
So it will be short-term capital gain on other than a equity mutual fund.
Yeah. Only for equity MF, you have that 1 year,
1 year
limit.
yeah.
But for all other assets, it's actually 3 years. Also, which ITR should he use?
That depends on the which other income he has. If he doesn't have any business income, then he can use ITR 1.
ITR 1 is fine. If you do not have business income, it's ITR 1. And by chance, if he does have business income?
Then he has to use ITR 3.
ITR 3. Okay, so depending on your sources of income, ITR 1 or ITR 3. All right, we have Dr. George Chacko, who's joining us on the phone line from Pune. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. What's your question for our expert today?
Yeah, hello, good evening. There are two questions.
Okay.
Number one is, after how many days does a speculative thing becomes a short term? I mean, what is the criteria for this short term? They say that within 1 year, but suppose I sell after 2 days.
Okay.
Will it become short term or will it be speculative? So after how many days? That is not clarified anywhere. Okay.
Okay, so basically, when
is
does
one
speculative income become short term? That's your
Yes.
first question. Okay, and what's your second question?
Second is, now that the market is falling, okay, so what happens? Suppose I keep buying shares at lower and lower rate.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so now that the market is falling,
Yeah.
okay, so what happens is, now suppose I buy a share, 100 shares at 300.
Okay.
And at every 25 dip, I keep on buying
Correct.
100. And let's say it goes to 150.
Okay.
Okay, so I've accumulated a lot of shares.
Right.
But then I start selling, suppose it goes to 170.
Right.
Now that 170 will be now tallied with what? I mean, what will be my gains? Will it be from 150 to 170 or will it be
Or will
from
it be
300?
Understood.
300 to
Understood.
1.
Okay. Okay.
Is it?
So two questions. One is about the speculation. So let's answer it one by
by
one.
one.
Let's
Yeah,
first talk about that speculative
So
and
for
short term.
speculation and no speculation, so far as you have taken delivery of the shares, then irrespective of whatever days you are holding, even after 2 days you are selling, then it will be considered as a capital gain, subject to that you have taken the delivery.
Yeah.
So within 1 year, any time you sell, whether 2 days, 10 days or up to 365 days, it will be short-term capital gain. But if it is without delivery means squared up during the year without taking delivery.
Yeah.
So it is more like a F&O type of transaction.
Yeah.
Then it will be taxed as a business income and not as a capital gain. But in your case, I believe that you have taken delivery and sold within 2 years. The first question.
I think that's what he has said. If we have Dr. Chacko, could you agree with what our expert is saying?
Yeah, know what I'm saying? It is not mentioned anywhere. I mean, I try to go to Google and try to see this, but there is no mention of this number of days.
No. There is no condition of number of days. So far as it is within 1 year, and if you have taken delivery, then it is a non-speculative transaction. So you are eligible to be taxed as a short-term capital gain.
Okay. So I have understood that. Okay, then second question is also there.
Right. Now, his second question basically is that since the market is down, he's been accumulating shares, he's been buying them at all these lower levels. And when he realizes that the shares of that stock that he's been buying has gone up, let's say he's bought it at 100 and now he's seen that it's gone up to 150, 170. So he slowly starts selling. Now he wants to know, when he's selling, what should he consider as his cost price? How should he calculate his
So
gain?
if he has purchased on a various date, so when he starts selling, he has to follow FIFO method. FIFO method means first in, first out.
Okay.
So whatever sales purchased earlier,
The first.
that will go first.
Okay.
Like that, one by one, you have to go on reducing your sales.
Okay, so whatever you purchased first, that's the cost price you will have to use, and you'll have to correspond it, or rather, like you said, compare it with the selling price of when you actually started selling your shares. George, I hope we've been able to answer your questions, and thank you, of course, for calling us and tuning in to The Money Show. Okay, I don't know how much time we have for more questions. I think we'll just take in one last query that we've received via Twitter. It is from Vivek Kothari. That should come up for you on your screens in just a bit. Vivek Kothari says, what should be the business code that should be used for F&O income? Fair enough. I mean, all of us have to report this business code if it's a business or a profession. He's reporting income under F&O and intraday. So first question is that, and his second question is, I have suffered a loss when it comes to F&O income, F&O trading of 10,000 rupees. His absolute turnover, and I'm not sure what he means by absolute turnover, but his absolute turnover is 1 lakh rupees. He wants to know if he needs to audit his books. He has other income as well under 44AD, presumptive business income. So how would you help Vivek out with his queries?
Yeah, we go one by one. I think
Sure.
first question is about the code where
The
he
code,
is.
yeah.
I think that code will be an investment code. Now there are so many codes, so
Yeah.
I don't remember, but something 10,000 something odd number is there.
Okay.
That's what the code is. So there is actually a number of codes are already written with the nature.
Okay.
So you have to select investment code.
Okay.
So mostly I don't remember the code number exactly. That's for the first question. What was the second
Yeah,
question?
the second question was basically that how should is he liable for an audit? He said he suffered a loss of 10,000 rupees during the F&O trading that he's done, and that his absolute turnover is 1 lakh rupees. So is he liable for an audit? And he already has a presumptive income scheme, I think under 44AD.
So again, both are independent thing.
Okay.
If turnover is only 1 lakh rupees, then naturally he
There's
is
no
not
need.
liable to tax because limit is 1 crore rupees.
Yeah.
Loss is 10,000, but as earlier I mentioned that suppose you have a profit of 50 lakh, loss of 50 lakh 10,000 and net is 10,000.
Yeah.
So then your turnover is above 1
1
crore,
crore.
and you are liable for audit.
Audit,
But
yeah.
prima facie it looks like that your gross turnover itself is 1 lakh, so you
Yeah.
are not liable for audit.
I hope he's calculated his turnover in that
Correctly,
way. That's
yeah.
of course a different thing.
Yeah.
Your absolute turnover, like we mentioned throughout during the show, Vivek, profit plus loss. Do not net off your loss. It's profit plus loss, an absolute basis. That's your turnover. If it exceeds 1 crore, then you are liable for an audit. Okay, on that note,
No,
I
so
think,
here one more question. I think 44AD has some presumptive business income.
but I think that's just extra information that he
Okay.
has given. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But on that note, we are out of time. We'll have to shut our phone lines right there on Ask the Money Show. Thank you to all of you for tuning in and watching it. We'll of course be back after this very short break on life insurance. Thank you, Prakash, as well, for very patiently answering all the questions and queries.